here with the current chairman of Whitfield County, and that is Miss Lynn.
Hi, Connie. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Thank you for coming back. I really enjoyed doing the forum with you and Jevin recently, and there was just so much to say that we weren't able to get into.
I know. You could talk about this kind of thing for hours. And that's why my voice is hoarse, I guess, today.
Well, that's just one of the downfalls, I guess, of being a politician or a spokesperson.
You know, I've never considered myself a politician.
Mm-hmm.
and people have given me the compliment of, you know, you're the worst politician I've ever seen, because I say it like it is.
Yeah.
And I promised the voters of Whitfield County, both the last two elections I've had, that I would never make a decision because I thought it would help me get reelected.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say to this day I've never done that. So
I admire that.
We have to be honest with these things.
You do. I think honesty, and you and I have talked before off camera about honesty. For me, it's loyalty. My number one thing is you be loyal. I'm loyal, be loyal. Yours is honesty.
Honest,
because we've had a long conversation about that.
Right. I can't tell a lie. I just can't. And sometimes I say things thinking they're the truth, and maybe I find out later, well, that wasn't exactly right, but I will never consciously tell a story.
And then you said that if you do find out, then you will approach the person and say, I was wrong about that.
Right.
So I like that.
Okay.
But you know, something I've been thinking about is, you know, and we've all been thinking about the pandemic that we're in the middle of right now. What have the commissioners been doing?
Well, commissioners are getting along really well right now. I am serving currently on the COVID-19 task force, and that's about 18 community leaders. The mayor and I are on that. Several people from the hospital, the school superintendents, the president of the chamber, the president of the Carpet and Rug Institute. And we've had twice weekly, until last week, we've had twice weekly conference calls with all of those people. And it's good because we get an update on what's going on. We find out, well, the hospital needs this and the school system has it, so maybe they can give it. You know, it's a work together trying to get through this. We are in unprecedented times. I've said that word so much lately. In addition to that, I've had twice weekly live stream calls from our county website. And those are, if you go to the homepage, whitfieldcountyga.com, and you look on the left side under Hot Topics, you can see commission meetings live streamed, and you can click on that and see any of the calls. So, you know, I'm having them at 5 o'clock. Maybe that wasn't the best time for everybody to watch, but what we're finding is that people go back later and watch that. And we've had some great speakers on. We've had a couple of judges. We've had the commissioner of the Department of Labor for the whole state of Georgia. So if you have questions about unemployment, go back and watch that show. Commissioner Butler gives you a lot of information. We've had our fire chief and our emergency management, the ambulance service. Claude Craig does those calls with me every week, and he's our emergency management agency director. So we're really just trying to get information out to our citizens. And we had a call with Dr. Taylor, who's head of the 6 counties health departments. So we had a doctor who spoke in Spanish, letting people know how they could deal with this, and at the same time a doctor who spoke English. We've just had a lot of really great calls. And citizens or non-citizens can call in and ask questions. They can chat in and ask questions, and we've got an email, County Connect, where they can email their questions. So I've gone to just once a week on those. I think people are on information overload right now. But we have them every Thursday at 5 o'clock. And this week I'm going to have our census regional director to talk about this 2020 census. We got the sales numbers in for March. You know, we're expecting our sales tax revenue to be down. People aren't shopping much. And so actually in March they ticked up a little bit, and we think there's 3 reasons for that. Typically after people spend in December, January and February are kind of down, so by March people are starting to get back and shop more. And another reason is that people, when they saw the pandemic was coming, went out and shopped. And of course food is not taxed at that 1%, but toilet paper and paper towels are.
Yeah.
So we think we'll feel the full brunt of that on the sales tax in April, and we won't have that information until the last day or two of May. But we have prepared for that. We've been trying to build up our fund balance for years. And that's kind of a requirement with good accounting principles to have at least 3 months in a fund balance. So we have that money that we can fall back on during this time. We also had a surplus last year, which really is just good financial management. So we can use that. And then we got a transfer from the Solid Waste Authority. And I want you to know that the Solid Waste Authority has some of the lowest tipping fees in the region, but they save money for the day when they have to either close a landfill or open one, because that costs millions and millions of dollars. But this was a surplus, so the city got half and we got half of that. And the industrial park bonds are going to be paid off this year, which we're really happy about that, but that's a 10-year accomplishment. So I think that we're going to be okay this year. I've always liked to have a positive campaign. Do you want to ask me anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm curious. I'll be honest with you, Lynn. Everybody I've talked to has been like, I'm just waiting on the Lynn Lauder, Jevin Jensen forum to come out. Everybody wanted to know what you guys were going to say.
Right.
Because I think, well, you know, it's. I don't want to use the word hated, but it's a little bit hated.
Right. And you know, I would never intentionally say something that was wrong, but in that the forum, I say that my opponent made the presentation, and you know, in the middle of the night that night, I realized, you know, he didn't make the presentation. It was Kathy Holmes that made it, because he was out of town that night, and I just was so shocked when he said he wasn't there that I'm like, am I just remembering that wrong? And apparently I was.
It happens to the best of us.
Well, I would never tell a story on purpose.
Well, and that's one reason I brought up your honesty, because I know that bothered you so much.
Oh, it did.
We've had several conversations about it, and you were worried that people would think that you were
not telling the truth, and that did worry me, and I hardly slept that night. So as I pieced it back together, it was not him that actually made the presentation, but Jevin and Kathy Holmes and Tate O'Gwen served on a committee at the bequest of the city council. And so the presentation that all three of them worked on came to the conclusion that the city was paying too much in county taxes. And I'm thinking, why is somebody running for county chairman if they made a presentation like that? It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, that was the conclusion, and that's what led to the city taking the county to a court-ordered mediation. That has since been resolved. One of the main reasons I wanted to run again was that negotiation is up for renegotiation in 2022. So I've never had a campaign like this that's been negative. I've always tried to run a positive campaign, and so it's been hard. But I want to talk about a few things that I feel like I've accomplished during my term as chairman.
And we have about 1 minute left.
Okay, so
I'm not going to say anything, you run with it.
Okay, so we have built up a rainy day fund, and that rainy day fund is needed right now during this. We've built 2 new fire stations, so for the first time in history, our county residents are all within 5 miles of a fire station, which helped us get our ISO rating lowered. Economic development, QCell's brought 700 plus jobs to this county. I'm very proud of that. But one thing that y'all may not know is that Mohawk, who my opponent works for Mohawk, has had more separate deals than any other company. And the other thing is we've had 7 new companies of expansions of 60 or fewer employees. So we have helped small business, which I'm a small business owner myself, and I think that, of course, I want to support small business. So recreation facilities, funding the library. Our animal shelter has gone from 80% euthanasia down to 7%. I'm very, very proud of that. So we've accomplished a lot in 4 years, and as you know, it's just not one person. We have to have votes of 3 out of the 5 commissioners, so we've all worked on these things together, and I'm proud of the things that the county has accomplished, and we will get through this pandemic. I think we'll be able to have a balanced budget by the end of the year. I think because of our reserves that we won't have to raise taxes. I'm not planning on doing that. if you can cut in a time like this when your revenues are down, I don't know if that's reasonable or practical. But of course, we'd love to cut taxes whenever we can. So I did talk fast, sorry.
You did, and you did perfect. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you for coming back, Lynn.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we'll be talking to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
You guys stick around. I'll be right back.